Good morning, nerds. And today we're talking about my favorite game that I've never played, Marathon. Marathon's getting desperate, isn't it? let's check in on it, see what it's doing. Anyway, grab yourself some coffee, sit back, relax, and let's get into it, shall we? But hey, before we get started, I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So hit that notification bell, hit the follow button, the subscribe button, all that good stuff. So if you want to come join us, chill out while we're just playing a video game Monday and Wednesday, go ahead and do so. And if you want to join the conversation on Friday when we talk about news like this, well, you got to do the same thing there too, and you can come join us then. I'll see you then. Wow, and the floor continues. Like seriously, searching for this floor is I thought we'd hit it by now, but apparently we did not. So that 15,000 I thought we were going to hit, turns out it's not there yet. So we're looking at 10,000, a little under 11,000. See, what was it the past few days? 13,000. Yeah, we're still searching for that floor, aren't we? But anyway, so apparently there is a way to save the game. I don't know how else to put it, right? Like I've already talked about it for the most part, how I think I would have handled Marathon to begin with. And it looks like Bungie, I guess, is finally realizing that making a game for hardcore, sweaty PvP, people just is the way to go, especially if you want to make money. Right? And Bungie is desperate to make money considering they are technically over 700 million in the hole. Even though they don't describe it as in the hole, because it was they're in the hole anyway. they're doing very bad, right? So Marathon reveals new PvE mode, big plans for the future. Marathon is attempting to broaden its player base with a new offering such as a PvE only mode. Depending on who you ask, Marathon has struck a chord with a dedicated player base, but may not have that wide appeal. It seems Bungie is actually aware of the fact that it may need to expand its audience to make more approachable, and is planning to do so. Yeah, I think Destiny 2 has better numbers right now. Let's take a look at that, shall we? That's right. Destiny 2 had an uptick in players. 13,000. To Marathon's barely at 11,000 at this point, 10,000 something, right? Man, that's got a sting, really does. In a massive news post, a news blog post, jeez, I just can't read. I can't read if my life depended on it. Bungie laid out its plan for the future, Marathon, among the many details in it. Arguably the biggest takeaway content-wise is the introduction of a brand new PvE mode being introduced in Season 2. In an experimental mode that won't have player-on-player combat, instead emphasizes working together to complete objectives, fight UEC or UESC bots, and to make progress in a less chaotic, hostile environment. Additionally, there will be a mode that focuses on PvE, but with a light touch of PvP. The details are scarce of what exactly that means. And this is like exactly what I keep saying that Marathon needed to do to start with, right? They needed to take this and handle it like Halo. My mind just completely forgot what it was doing. Anyway, but yeah, you handle it like Halo. Like you worry about a story mode and then multiplayer to follow. But no, for whatever reason, somebody was dead set on this extraction shooter. And, well, we've seen where it takes them. Not very far. And, now that we've had an earnings call where Sony is like, pretty much trying to keep them around and shield them from being axed at this point. This must be what they've been cooking up. Which they should have done to begin with. I don't understand why that was such a hard thing. You can go ahead and look at various other genres of, like, for instance, RTS right now. I've been looking into RTSs because it's been a while, and I want to play Warcraft 2. And anyway, the point is, there's been several RTSs over the past years that have come and gone, like within with the snap of a finger practically. And it all boils down to the fact that they want to cater to that 20% of hardcore players, multiplayers, hardcore PvP multiplayer type people, right? And what made all the other RTSs, the legends of those genres, good was the PvP or PvE aspect. Sorry, it was the story. It's like, you talk about something like Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3, Warcraft, StarCraft, Man and Conquer, Red Alert, stuff like that. A lot of it was due to the story of those games. That's what you remember. That's what propelled it forward. That's what made it big in the first place. And then it allowed other things to come from it, like League of Legends and stuff, Dota. Didn't remember what it was called for a second because these games did such a good job at bringing in people to the single player that they were allowed to experiment in those ways. That Marathon should have done the same thing because it's got this entire world that it can pull from, that it had a few games from back in the day, that it just could have created this whole ecosystem around, been like the next Halo, just Marathon instead, But no, we couldn't do that, could we? For those fearing this means PvP will take a back seat for Marathon, that's not the case. Bungie teased that it is developing a purely PvP focused mode as part of the plans for more experimental modes of Marathon. Bungie noted its goals is to create a game that allows for nail-biting tension and sweaty gameplay, but also one that allows you to take a step back and chill. The aim is to ensure there is a pace of play for whatever mood you're in, rather than constant high-stakes, tense gameplay with big-time commitments. Now, I don't know if they can achieve that, to be totally honest. Like, the closest thing they've ever had to anything like that, again, look at Halo. And Halo had a story that we just sort of started in the middle of, right? It, kind of like Star Wars, like we just sort of started in the middle of the war. The war is already started as we start the game, and that allows for so many different things that the developers can explore at that point. They can either continue the story forward, they can go backwards, they can explore other aspects of the story and all this other stuff. Leaves them so many openings that they can work with. And you've got Marathon, which also happens to be a world that has its own things with aliens and stuff like that. And they decided to turn it into an extraction shooter, completely change how it looks. And I just don't know if they can pull this off now that they've done all this, because even for the very first drop, I think what really piqued people's interest was the lore. And it's like, well, what is going on here? What is the lore here? Why are we doing these things? Why is this happening? Why? And nobody got an answer for that. That's it. Like, nobody got any of the answers that they, or nothing that would even run you in the direction of having an answer. And that's probably part of the problem right there, a huge part of the problem. But yeah, here real quick, we'll look at the roadmap for the future of 2026 with Marathon. So they're going to plan on season 2. It's on the horizon. It will be sowing the seeds for a lot of our future plans via new content such as Sentinel and Nightmarch, systems and experiments around new play modes that may become permanent in the future. Yeah, see, that's the other thing with their previous property like Halo. They had multiple game types, and one of them was extraction. If I remember correctly, we had an extraction type game type. But yeah, so they've taken this one mode and made it their whole game, and that's another part of the problem. There's no variety. Season 3, we're planning to introduce a lot, and I mean a lot, of revisions to our early experiences, including big updates to parameters alongside new runner shells. In addition, no spoiler content. Okay. Season 4, we'll focus on building more depth. Season 5, we're looking at bringing the whole ecosystem, play together, evolving, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so with that, do you think that is going to be enough to save Marathon? Maybe. I really don't know. I feel like it might be a little too late, but also, they still have, like, what was it, 88,000 people signed in concurrently. They sold about, I think the total so far has been like 2.1 million copies since the game came out. So they have at least 2.1 people who could look at the fact that they've released a PvE, come back to it and go, okay, yeah, this seems so much better. And that might be the way to go. I feel like if they had just started with that to begin with, the game would have came off way better than what it did. Um, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments below, and I will see you later. See ya.